Day 3. Understanding your limiting beliefs. Over the past 2 days, we have explored 2 important ideas. The first was that meaningful change begins when we take responsibility for the direction of our lives. The second was that many of the behaviors holding us back are not isolated incidents, but patterns that operate quietly beneath our awareness. Today, we take the next step by examining something even more influential: the beliefs that create those patterns in the first place. If our habits are the visible branches of a tree, then our beliefs are the roots hidden beneath the surface. We rarely see them directly, yet they influence nearly everything we do. They shape our expectations, affect our decisions, and determine how we interpret both success and failure. In many cases, they influence our lives far more than our abilities or circumstances. One of the most fascinating aspects of human psychology is that people rarely act according to reality itself. Instead, they act according to their perception of reality. 2 individuals can face the same situation and respond in completely different ways, because each interprets the experience through a different set of beliefs. Imagine 2 people being offered the opportunity to lead an important project at work. One person sees the opportunity as a chance to learn, grow, and prove their capabilities. The other immediately focuses on everything that could go wrong. They worry about making mistakes, being judged, or failing publicly. The opportunity is identical, yet the emotional response is entirely different. The difference is not found in the situation itself. It is found in the beliefs each person carries into that situation. Many of these beliefs are formed long before we become aware of them. During childhood and adolescence, we absorb messages from parents, teachers, friends, and society. Some of these messages are empowering and supportive. Others can be limiting without anyone intending them to be. A child who repeatedly hears that they are naturally gifted may develop confidence and ambition. Another child who is constantly criticized may begin to doubt their abilities, even if they possess enormous potential. Over time, these early experiences become part of the framework through which we view ourselves and the world around us. The challenge is that beliefs often survive long after the circumstances that created them have disappeared. A person who struggled with public speaking in school may continue believing they are a poor communicator decades later. Someone who experienced financial hardship early in life may develop deep fears around money, even after their circumstances improve. Another person may continue seeing themselves as incapable, despite years of evidence proving otherwise. The belief remains because it has become familiar, and familiarity is powerful. The human mind prefers consistency. Once we form an opinion about ourselves, we unconsciously look for evidence that supports it. Information that confirms our existing beliefs tends to receive more attention than information that challenges them. As a result, many people spend years reinforcing ideas about themselves that are no longer accurate. Consider how often people describe themselves using absolute statements. I'm not confident. I'm terrible with money. I'm not a leader. I'm not disciplined enough. At first glance, these statements appear harmless. However, they carry significant consequences because they transform temporary experiences into permanent identities. There is a profound difference between saying, I struggled with discipline in the past, and saying, I am not a disciplined person. The first statement describes behavior. The second defines identity. When we attach limitations to our identity, change becomes far more difficult because every attempt at growth feels like a contradiction of who we believe ourselves to be. This is why many people become trapped in cycles that seem impossible to break. They are not fighting against reality. They are fighting against a deeply rooted story about who they think they are. Fortunately, beliefs are not facts. This may be one of the most important ideas in this entire book. A belief can feel completely true and still be inaccurate. Throughout history, people have held beliefs that were later proven false. Entire societies have operated under assumptions that eventually collapsed when new evidence emerged. The same principle applies to our personal lives. The fact that you have believed something for many years does not automatically make it true. The fact that you have repeated a story to yourself hundreds of times does not make it accurate. The fact that a belief was formed during a painful experience does not mean it deserves a permanent place in your life. One of the most valuable habits you can develop is learning to question your assumptions. When a limiting thought appears, pause and examine it. Ask yourself where the belief originated. Ask yourself whether the evidence genuinely supports it. Ask yourself whether you would speak to a close friend in the same way you speak to yourself. Most importantly, ask yourself whether the belief is helping you create the future you want. Many people never challenge their assumptions because doing so can feel uncomfortable. Limiting beliefs often provide a strange sense of security. If you believe success is impossible, you never have to risk failure. If you believe you are incapable, you never have to face the uncertainty of trying something new. If you convince yourself that your dreams are unrealistic, you protect yourself from disappointment. Yet that protection comes at a cost. The cost is growth. The cost is opportunity. The cost is the possibility of becoming more than you currently believe you can be. One of the reasons personal development is so powerful is that it encourages us to replace unconscious beliefs with conscious choices. Rather than allowing old assumptions to dictate our future, we begin selecting beliefs that align with the person we want to become. This does not mean pretending to be someone you are not. It does not mean repeating affirmations while ignoring reality. Genuine growth requires honesty. If you lack a skill, you can develop it. If you have made mistakes, you can learn from them. If you face challenges, you can address them. The goal is not to deny reality, but to view it accurately. An accurate view recognizes both your weaknesses and your potential. It acknowledges past failures without allowing them to define your future. It accepts where you are today, while remaining open to who you could become tomorrow. As you continue this journey, remember that every achievement begins as a possibility before it becomes a reality. The people you admire did not start with certainty. They started with a willingness to believe that growth was possible. That belief influenced their actions, their persistence, and ultimately their results. Your future will be shaped in much the same way. The beliefs you choose to strengthen will influence the decisions you make, the opportunities you pursue, and the standards you set for yourself. Over time, those decisions will become habits. Those habits will become results, and those results will reinforce the person you are becoming. For that reason, few investments are more valuable than examining the beliefs that guide your life. Because when a limiting belief loses its power, new possibilities begin to appear. And often, those possibilities were there all along. Reflection questions. 1. What beliefs do you currently hold about yourself that may be limiting your growth? 2. Where did those beliefs originate? 3. What evidence supports those beliefs, and what evidence challenges them? 4. Are there areas of your life where you have confused past behavior with permanent identity? 5. What belief would better support the future you want to create? Daily action step. Choose one limiting belief that appears repeatedly in your life. Write it down at the top of a page. Underneath it, write all the evidence that supports the belief. Then create a second list containing evidence that challenges it. Review both lists honestly and ask yourself whether the belief is truly a fact or simply a story you have continued to carry. Success affirmation. I am not defined by old assumptions or past experiences. I choose beliefs that support growth, possibility, and the future I want to create.